Hello, I'm Lamborghini_C and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to give you a review of my most recent stay at the Fountainbleu Hotel and Resort in Miami Beach, Florida. So come along for the journey, guys. All right, as you guys can see, the hotel is absolutely wonderful. It is luxurious to say the least, with all of the huge chandeliers, the views, the views, the views. If you ever wanted to have like the perfect view right from your room, you want to stay at the Fountainbleu Hotel and Resort in Miami Beach, Florida. Now, I will tell you, um, although it was a resort setting, which I didn't realize, I was there last year for an event, which is what brought me there this year. So let me just tell you guys about that. So actually, I flew into town for a business event in the cannabis industry, And last year I attended the same event. However, I stayed where I normally stay across town in Brickell, Miami, which I love, 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 love. And, it actually, because I was there for business and for a specific event that had, a certain start time and certain, like timed events that I wanted to make sure I was at, it took a little bit to kind of get across town. It was a little stressful sometimes, right? Because thank goodness I actually had a driver that picked me up every day, like at the same time. But still, I had to make sure that I was ready and dressed and downstairs for him to pick me up. Um, by a certain time and what have you, just to make sure that I could arrive on time, that I didn't feel rushed, that I was able to kind of network and mix and mingle, and still be game on. And so it worked out perfectly. It worked out perfectly. However, it still felt a little bit like it added additional pressure that I just didn't need. And here's the deal. So this year, when I decided to go to the same event, because of who I am a financial person, right? I look at the dollars, right, the bottom line. And so I actually costed out, staying across town in Brickell where I normally stay. And then, like, the cost to have my driver bring me to the hotel and then to pick me up in the evenings. And honestly, I wasn't saving that much money, guys. I know some individuals, like even somebody at the event, I think he might have been trying to be a little bit shady, but he actually sat down next to me during lunch and had the nerve. He was asking me about like how expensive. Well, first he asked if I was staying at the hotel, right at the venue. And of course, I told him yes, I am. Then he asked me like, or made reference to like, oh, it's pretty expensive, isn't it? And I'm thinking, because he mentioned he was staying there too. So I thought he was being a little bit shady. So I just let him know, look, I don't do things that are expensive to me, but I understand what's expensive to some is not expensive to, what's expensive to some people is not expensive to me. So I don't know, you know. But I think he was trying to be a little bit shady, so that's what he gets. However, I will tell you guys, in reality, again, I think there is some truth from that, and that's a quote from Dr. Love. I'm sorry, he is a doctor, but Prophet Lovey. And the reality is, again, from my exposure or experience, it wasn't that expensive. It was I think it was like 300 and something a night. I think the rooms, definitely you're going to see a larger price tag on them if you book like closer to when you're trying to stay. That's with anywhere. And, because they were having the conference at the venue, they actually had a block of rooms that were supposed to be discounted, but again, I'm a financial person, so I looked at multiple sites. Of course, I had to check go through the American Express and see if they had a hookup that was a little bit better, and honestly, it was all about the same price, to be honest, so it really wasn't, a huge discount. But the good thing with booking through the reserve rooms that they had is, I think it made sure that we were in the tower, which I was in the Versailles Tower, which actually logistically was right there, kind of in the same vicinity as the conference, which meant I could merely just come down after taking all morning with my hair and makeup. You know how it is for us ladies, and especially when you're at a business event. So you're checking for several things, right? When I was coach the ladies on being game on, and the guys too. But for us especially, that game on means that we want to dress and we want to be professional and present ourselves as such. So that means we want to check in the mirror. We want to make sure that we have a nice suit jacket on that, covers or hits the right spots, but also that doesn't reveal too much. We want to make sure our shirts aren't towering down too far. And that we are, we're showing up, showing, hey, we're ready for business. There's a time for the club. And trust me, after all the networking and the business was done, I went over to the condo in Brickell. And the first thing I did after I got everything in the condo unpacked is got into my bathing suit, honey. There's a time and place for everything. But with business, we want to make sure that we're game on. We want to make sure that people are seeing us and respecting us as the business professional women that we are. So it was nice that I felt like I had a little extra time because I did stay at the hotel venue and I merely just had to step out into the hall, go to the elevators, and it dropped me right, on the floors where the venue was. I didn't have to walk all the way across this huge resort because it's a resort. I didn't realize that last year when I was just kind of popping in and out. But there were so many families. It happened to be the same time period that a lot of families were still on holiday from spring break. And so there were a lot of children. It was ironic because there were a lot of parents there with their children on spring break. And I was there for a cannabis capital conference. So that was a little bit of a mixture. So, shouts out to the general manager of the hotel. I think I did meet him one day. He came over and introduced himself at the venue, and it was funny because, again, like you'd see these kids kind of walking through. Meanwhile, you had those who were in attendance for the conference that do, smoke the product. Um, you know, like you could smell like as soon as you stepped out of the elevators, right? Because unfortunately, that week my goodness, it was like the worst rainstorms that they'd had in Miami, and I think some people were saying like 100 years or something. Like there was so much flooding and what have you. So although we were at this wonderful resort, we really didn't get to have a whole lot of time where we were able to really like experience, or at least I wasn't able to like luxuriate and just lay out by the pool and what have you. So that's not the fault of the hotel. That was just Mother Nature and just timing, you know. But the last day that I was there, I did make my way down to the beach, which was right, I mean, the resort's right there on the beach. And that was just awesome. That was nice. I was able to get some photos and video and just stand and just, it was nice to just stand there and close my eyes and just do some breathing techniques, right there standing in the sand. um, I love the water. I'm truly a water person. It helps calm me. It helps get me centered, and kind of really like, thinking about the future and like my goals and things like that. So it was awesome to me. Um, one major drawback, I will tell you guys, if you do end up going to stay there, again, I don't know if it was just this particular trip, because I've been at resorts before where they've actually, again, here the HR thing, they actually have had turnover or staffing issues, right? Or they're in the midst of an organizational change, which has kind of hindered or hampered, the way that their customer service or, their offerings as it relates to the food. But I have to tell you, like the food at this resort, they had a few restaurants. It is not it. Everything, it was horrible. For Miami too, I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And you know how it is when you're at a convention or you're somewhere for a specific purpose and place. Like a lot of times you may actually feel crunched for time because you're trying to like fit things in, or maybe after an all day of sitting in seminars or networking and what have you, you may have like an hour or two where you could actually go back to your room and either take a quick nap, just catch your breath, or eat. And so sometimes, you try to like squeeze a little, like, okay, I'm gonna close my eyes for 10 minutes, but then let me order some room service or let me get a reservation. That was the other thing. Because it was so packed and it's a resort, like when you did go to like, there was a place that they have there that, like one night I was like, you know what, I want some pizza. And I think I had a couple cocktails because every day there was like a mixer or some sort of networking event where they had drinks, right? And and then those who smoke were able to smoke too. And so I wanted some pizza. I was like, oh, that sounds good. I want to try their pizza. And so I stayed and waited in line like 20 minutes. And when I got up there to put my name in, again, it was just me, right? Because I was solo dolo. And so they told me that it was going to be like an hour, like 50-minute wait. After I just waited 20 minutes in line to get up there to give them my name. And I'm like, nah, I'm cool on that. And so I ended up just stepping out of the line and going to my app on my phone. And I had to order a hot and ready. I had Little Caesars. And they delivered within like 20 minutes. I got a brownie and everything. And so, but that's just how I was a little desperate that night. I really was hungry and I needed to put something on my tummy. But yeah, I went and ate at a couple other restaurants in the resort, and it was lackluster. Of course, it had a price tag on it, like your salad, $25, $30, just for the salad alone and what have you. But the food was like, it was lackluster. Like it wasn't good. I did eventually end up getting like to go to that restaurant um, the last night of the cannabis conference portion, which I stayed over for the psychedelic portion. So that night, I actually went down and again solo dolo. This time I was able to get, or actually I think I made a reservation, so I was able to kind of walk right up, and then they, they seated me because I had the party that was another networking event at Club Live, like following, right? So I had that in between time, like grab something to eat and then have run upstairs if I wanted to change my outfit and get ready for the Club Live thing. And so when I got down there were some young ladies that I had met like through the course of the conference, and they actually came and got me as they saw me looking for the menu because they were like, they were like, come join us because we got extra food. And they were like, and the food isn't that great. And they give you all these portions. And so I was so thankful for that. And it just let us network some more. But they were right. Like it was just, the pizza even was like, how can you have bad pizza? I don't even understand that. Like I just, again, like I don't understand it. Like there has to be a reason. Maybe, you know, they're dealing with some with employee shortages or something, but it just, the food just, it wasn't. Even the people next to us, like they were sending their stuff back too, so we both were like having to send like stuff back, like even like because the table next to us, they had kids there, and even the babies was like telling them to wait, like you gotta come get this. Like that's how bad it was. It just was not good, right? And so that is the one drawback. So I would caution or say, if you're gonna stay, um, maybe again, if you're kind of there on leisure, like you're gonna have more free time, and you'll own your own schedule, so you can take the time and go into town. Again, you're on Miami Beach, and I'm like, I know there's some great restaurants on Miami Beach, but I didn't really get to venture to them because I didn't want to miss the whole purpose of why I was there, for the networking, to close some clients and things like that. And so again, those are the small sacrifices that you make. And I didn't mind it too much because I knew immediately following the conference I was staying over in Brickell for, another 5 or 6 days. And I was going to be able to, like, you're right there with Nurset, you're right there with, you know, like some of the, like the places I like to venture to. And so I was like, I knew I was going to get some of that good Miami cuisine. So I didn't mind it as much. But again, guys, the views, the views, the views. If you want like a nice spacious room where you're able to get up in the morning and go to your window and just look out, and again, in one direction see the ocean and then the other direction see the Biscayne Bay with all of the boats and things, docked and ready to go. Sometimes with the Lambo put all up on the grass to to deliver the people that are trying to get on their boats. Again, like stay, like treat yourself. Even for like, and this is something like, I will tell you that I truly agree with this. Like this is something that Bishop Jordan is a, like proponent of and teaches about. Like you do need to do things like as you have goals and you want to elevate in life, you do need to do things that will elevate your consciousness. Like that is so important, right? And so one of the ways that you can do that even on a budget is and if you're not even like necessarily like if you're too crunch for a budget, but maybe you're on a time crunch. Or for some of us, we do have it. Like some of us go through that phase, right? Where you're kind of like, where God's getting ready to graduate you or take you from one level to the next. And you've taught yourself all these antidotes that sound good, right? Like, oh, that's, too expensive. You shouldn't spend that much for this or that or what have you to try to pacify yourself, right? Or others teach them to you because they don't want you to have it. And, you try to fit in like, oh, okay. But one of the things that you could do is stay maybe one day, one night, so that you can go and you can experience and you're in the vicinity. Because here's the thing, guys. Once you experience an elevated level of living, your consciousness has been raised and you can't go back. And so you're going to do whatever it takes. That feeling is going to forever be in your memory, right? And so it is going to push you to do the things that you need to do to be able to experience those things again. Like there's times I have gone and I have stayed. So that's why, again, with that man coming and saying what he said, again, I feel like there were some undertones there. But he didn't know who he was dealing with. Again, like those rooms at that hotel were like $384 a night, plus all their fees. So just beware of that too. They do have tons of fees they add in there. But I have stayed in Miami at places for $1,000 a night. Okay? And so, like I said, like I understand because I go back and forth. I stayed at other places where like the room rates are like six something. So when I did, like I said, when I did the cost analysis, and compared like, okay, do I want to stay right at the venue or do I want to stay somewhere else? Like, I do want it to be somewhere I'm going to enjoy staying. And I want it to be somewhere that's comfortable and also that provides the convenience too, because in between the conference, I wanted to be able to run upstairs to my room and have the opportunity to hop into meetings, which I did. I didn't do it a whole lot, but I was able to hop into meetings, or if I had to hop onto a Zoom with my team, again, like this was still a business week for me. So we were still working and managing, and they were a great help. Like, it was awesome to be able to, as I was networking and getting all these business cards, run up to the room, snap some photos, and have my assistant like add them into, our contact list, right? So I didn't have to worry if I left them or lost them or something. Like they already were locked in, and those are like little tips and tricks that I like to teach other like business owners. Just again, around that whole time management and just working effectively, right? And upskilling yourself to kind of help alleviate some of the pressure and some of the stress and just being able to go and just move and manage all the things that a lot of us have on our plates these days. And so again, like I think definitely if you think that is a stretch, maybe create an opportunity or a scenario where you're able to go spend one night, right? So that you can kind of you can experience, and you can luxuriate in the midst and in the presence of, of that atmosphere, right? Because I'm telling you, once you do, you will be changed. You can't go back. It's hard, or again, or it's in you, right? And then there's also a bit of knowing that, hey, I do belong here, right? When people do try to come to discourage, or or they have their little comments that they have to make, because like I said, I kind of like, it took me off guard when that guy said that comment. And he follows me now on LinkedIn, because I'm sure he probably was like, who is this heifer think she is? Well, I know who I am. and that's the key. So you sound crazy and you look ridiculous even questioning me about staying at a 300 and something dollar a night hotel. Like, stop playing with me. I'm Lamborghini underscore C. Okay. But again, thank you for joining my channel. I hope that this review helps you. I know that I love doing these reviews because if I'm going out of town somewhere or going to a country and staying at a particular resort, I will go right to YouTube and I'm searching for any videos on that because I want to see the real life experiences. I don't want to see the photos and the pictures that the resort or hotel took, and had some videographer piece together, but I want to see for myself from like real life people that have stayed at the venues. And I did that, of course, before I arrived, and there were some really good ones out there. So hopefully, you guys got something out of this, and it sparks you to actually go to the venue and also research the history. The Fountainbleu Hotel and Resort in Miami Beach, Florida, it has such a history, guys. I love, love, love documentaries and histories. My friend does as well. Like, I remember a few years ago, she told me about the whole like murder mystery thing. There's some history there with that family that owned and created that resort. Like, if you are into like documentaries and salacious history and stuff, then you can even just go right here on this platform and type it in, Fountainbleu Hotel Scandal, and you will be, oh my God, it is like a good read, a good book or something, or a podcast, and just listen in. There was a lot of craziness that went on. And then even, I will tell you, even being there, like, and walking through and seeing some of the artistry, like there's a whole story around the artist that did the artwork and who decorated like the chandeliers, like why they have those chandeliers, the reason why they have the black bow ties like as the tile and the floor. Like, there's so much history, guys. So it's awesome, like I said. However, I do need them to work on the food selections for those that are staying there and are crunched for time and maybe aren't able to go out into the city to get food, because again, it's a shame that you have such a beautiful, beautiful place and venue, but the food is horrible. That should not be the case. But again, guys, thank you for stopping by the channel. I am Lamborghini underscore C, and have a great day. Bye.